Willkommen beim Ziegelei Akademie Podcast, dem Ort, an dem Kreativität, Innovation und Musik sich vereinen. Hier gestalten wir nicht nur Musik, sondern wir bringen Leben in ein historisches Gebäude. Unsere Vision ist eine Musikhochschule, die in der alten Ziegeleifabrik in Sinsheim entstehen soll. Begleite uns auf dieser aufregenden Reise und erhalte exklusive Einblicke hinter die Kulissen der Musikwelt. Egal ob du Musikerin oder einfach nur Musikfan bist, freue dich auf spannende Interviews, inspirierende Gäste und top-aktuelle News. Wir öffnen die Tore zur Musikwelt, also trete ein in unsere Kreativfabrik, hier beim Ziegelei Akademie Podcast mit deinen Hosts Jenny und Sherry. Welcome to our second international podcast. Today we have a special guest from UK London, Chris Carvalho from Songcards. He's the founder of Songcards, which is an innovative platform for artists where they can create their whole universe to make digital music collectible again. So it's a whole experience for music fans and of course for artists. His concept, Proof of Fans, helps artists to really invite their followers to become true fans and to get the most value out of their music. So really check out, dive into the podcast. We also talk a lot about storytelling, promoting, and a mindset for artists. I'm super excited about this. I think this podcast really helps independent artists. So stay tuned and enjoy the show. So, welcome everyone to the Ziegelei Academy podcast. It's our second international podcast, and I'm very happy to introduce you today to a really great friend of mine, and also I would say one of the big headmasters behind the new music industry. He is like a founder of many music companies. Meanwhile, he had founded Unlock Your Sound, which started as a mixing and mastering digital company. And now he is the founder of a new platform called Songcard, which is a revolution actually in the music industry to collect music. And I'm really happy that he's here today. He's, one of probably the greatest minds I know in the music industry. Welcome, my friend, Christopher Carvalho.
That was quite the intro, Sherry. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I don't think I've been referred to as a headmaster before. That's new. But I'll take it.
I think you are definitely. I remember like 2016 or 17. I still have that picture. I will blend it in. I still have that picture here. That was the first time we did our first interview together, and 2017, that was a time when many people were still in the mindset of the old music industry.
Yeah.
And you were one of the few people out there who really said, forget about everything you know in the industry and let's find your way, your very individual way. And you always had like a mindset that was missing out there. And I think that's why I have to call you headmaster. You were a revolutionizer in the industry.
Love it. I'll take it. So, was that when we went to Metropolis that time?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Good times.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be. It's a pleasure to see the Ziegelei podcast happening. And it's a pleasure to be on.
It's a pleasure to have you in, and I forgot to mention one thing. You're not only like a founder of many music companies, you also have your own podcast, and you also have a big YouTube channel, so probably some people already know you.
Maybe. If they Googled back in the day, like sound. Mixing in Logic or something.
Yes.
And other things. Links in the description, I suppose. That's what people say, isn't it?
Definitely.
Smash that like button. Okay.
Chris, today I want to talk to you about two topics. First of all, you have a new company, a new music company, which is called Songcard. And after that, it always kind of goes hand in hand. When I talk with you, it's always about a mindset issue for artists, or mindset. We always talk about a mindset for artists, but I would like to start with your company, with Songcard. So can you tell us a little bit about what your new company is about and how artists can benefit from it?
Yeah, Songcards. I suppose I've been working on that for a year or so now. So I'll tell you the story behind it. So big fan of Bandcamp and that sort of thing. You know, I like I like that model of artists selling music digitally and being closer to their fans and that sort of thing. But you know, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about Bandcamp a lot, and I was also thinking about like the kind of, you know, what marketing people like myself, I suppose, would call the funnel, right? And like the journey that fans go down when they kind of like initially discover an artist, and then they go, you know, again, every what we call conversion, what happens next. You know, I think about that stuff a lot, right? Um, and one of the things I was thinking about is obviously this very popular concept of a link tool, like a link in bio. That's kind of where my head was at first, right? So you'd see you see musicians on Instagram, such as yourself, right? Like you might have a link tree, right, which just like it aggregates links, which is great because you know, for the longest time, well, until recently, I suppose, Instagram always had this kind of like one link policy. So Linktree came along and kind of solved that problem by creating a landing page so people can aggregate all of their links, which is plentiful, right? There's loads of links, isn't there? Like you have your Spotify, your Apple, and all of that stuff. But then, you know, after a while, I started thinking like, oh, okay, so fan discovers, sees content on feed, fan clicks through to artist, fan clicks on link, fan is presented with many, many links. And then also when fan does click on that link, they are taken into just another ecosystem that isn't an owned property of the artist. But also the value of that transaction, it's extremely low, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like by the time the people who've opened the landing page, you know, if you get 5 to 10% of them clicking on Spotify and then 10% of them clicking play and streaming your song, the economics aren't very good. That funnel gets really thin really, really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's kind of the problem I was first started thinking about quite a lot. So I thought to myself, like, okay, could there be a link that without clicking yet another link, can there be a payment, a checkout, like an Apple Pay, and the music? That was the two things. That's where I started with Songcards, right? So I was like, okay, cool. We can have an artist page with a one-click checkout, an instant checkout, and music, right? So I made a little web app, um, which was the first prototype of Songcards, I suppose, where you have an artist page, and then there's these products, and you can click Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever it is, and you can listen to the music. So that's kind of where I started. And that is still the case. But you know, at that stage, then I started thinking about, okay, what are they buying? What is this product? I've got payments and I've got music, but what's the product, right? So I started thinking a lot about that, but also just kind of developing the product. It kind of just grew, you know, the kind of concept grew in development, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we've arrived at this platform now called Songcards, right? And we've got it's currently in beta. We've got a bunch of artists on there, and we've got a bunch of collectors in there as well, like, you know, early adopters and that sort of thing. And now the concept is quite broad, and what we're trying to do, I suppose, is, well, what I'm trying to achieve with Songcards is to substantially revalue music,
Mm-hmm.
right? So because what I think has been lost in the streaming age, if you will, is the products. Like it's because I feel like personally on Spotify, your music's not really a product. It's just kind of part of a commodity. It's just part of like one kind of supply of this commodity, which is basically just Spotify, right? And but I was looking at the good work that some platforms do, like Bandcamp, where they do give you the ability to make your music in the digital space. but there are definitely some things about those platforms that I thought, okay, some of that could do with a refresh, and there's definitely like newer ways of doing that stuff and things that could be a bit snappier and that sort of thing. Um, because the way that I look at it is that like we've got Spotify on one hand, or on one side of the equation, and then on the other side you've got vinyl, right?
Mhm.
So there's product, obviously, there's physical product out there and it's great, and vinyl's coming back, it's growing double digits every year. And then you've got Spotify all the way over here, but it's a big chasm in the middle, and my bet is that like if you can create a compelling digital product out of your music, you can capture a lot of the people in the middle,
Mhm.
right? In a way that it's actually very inexpensive.
Mhm.
Like vinyl is expensive to do. It's a big risk. It's huge risk, vinyl. Um, and the margins aren't even that big, but at the same time, there's clearly an appetite for collecting music, even though streaming has proven its own concept as well. So I'm betting that somewhere in the middle,
Mhm.
there's a place for a digital product, um, that can be created out of the music you've already got, which is also kind of what I'm trying to get across is that, um, you know, the the thing with streaming and social media, and I kind of put them in the same category, is that it's a grind. It's an extremely like competitive grind, and it kind of gives you the it kind of gives you this kind of, as an artist, it gets you into this system where you feel like you have to just keep it up and you have to keep working. You have to endlessly create content, create new music, release new music all of the time. And my bet is that like, well, maybe you haven't got all of the value out of the music you've already made
Mhm.
quite yet, and maybe this is the way you can do it, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. And um, I always loved like how you tried, or always how your approach was always to add value to things. Like every step that you do, you have to add value, even if it's the value to kind of gain a true fan or
Right.
to gain. You never gain a follower because it's about true fans, or it's kind of what
Sure.
can you kind of what value can you add in someone's life. And now
Yeah.
it's also about, of course, the economics in music industry, which is for independent artists maybe definitely a bigger issue. Like, how can you create also an
100%.
economic value? And as
Yeah.
you said, like in my own experience, even creating a CD these days, it's not cheap. Like, you
Yeah.
have to
Right.
spend at least 2 to 3 thousand euros to
Yeah.
create CDs. It's really expensive
Yeah.
and it's a big risk. Like even I haven't made like all the money back from all the
Sure.
CDs that I've sold, so it's really a big risk. And these days also people say like, I mean, vinyls are maybe more in common these days, definitely because people go back to vinyl, but CD,
Definitely.
they're like, yeah, it's nice, but where
Sure.
can I play it? So creating something digital that you can collect, even if it's just yeah, even the digital world becomes more and more important. So it's
Yeah.
proof, as you always say, maybe you can go on that. You can now also relate more to that issue. You always call it the proof of fan, which I
Proof of
absolutely,
fan. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So proof of fan is kind of like is the kind of overarching concept at Songcards, actually.
Mhm.
So it's like, because what I'm also trying to like activate is that, like, because a lot of the people who are buying now CDs and vinyl, I don't necessarily believe that they're buying it because as an audio medium. It is merchandise. Like vinyl is
Yes.
merchandise, CD is merchandise, and the value of merchandise to a fan is that it's a bit of a flex. It's like it's proof that I'm a fan of this music, that I'm a fan of this artist, that I am a music fan,
Hmm.
you know? Um, so that's something I really want to activate in song cards, right? And this is kind of where like the gamification stuff comes in. So at the moment, um, when someone buys a song card, they have the option to have their name like printed, if you like, on the song card as it appears on the web, because it's primarily a web platform. And that's like part of the proof. So it's like, hey, if you want your name on it, that's something that they can show off to their friends. It's like, look, I bought this song card, my name's on it. That's proof that I'm a fan, but it's proof to the artists of who their fans really are, right? As well, because you know, you've been through this as much as anyone. You get streams on Spotify, but you don't really know who they are. There's no proof of fan there, right? You have some like abstract kind of idea about where they are and that sort of thing, but you don't actually know who they are. You can't communicate with them and that sort of thing. So um Songcards aims to provide proof of fan, but also kind of like the very to unlock the same appetite that they have for vinyl to collecting music there, but to apply that to the digital domain so that they can build up their collections. I mean, one of the things that I think about quite a lot is MySpace back in the day, right? On MySpace, as a user or as a fan, your MySpace page was just a massive expression of the things that you're into, the music that you love, and the art that you're into, and that sort of thing. But we kind of lost that in the modern social media platforms, right? There's not really a way to do that. So that's one of the things I'd also like to activate. There's a concept of having a collector page on Songcards, so that's like a public page, proof of all of the song cards that you've collected, and it's a way for you to show off and show to your friends that you know you are a music fan, because that's something, you know, every friendship group has that music person, and their identity is based on curating music and being the go-to music person, and that's the kind of, you know, at the moment they're buying vinyl and that sort of thing, and that's great, but I want to activate that value in the digital domain that creates in such a way that creates this kind of like new revenue stream for musicians.
Nice. And also, I really like the approach of being collectible, like
Yeah.
having something to collect, because I think also from a standpoint of an artist, what kind of got lost these days is we follow a lot of the standards, like you create content, then
Yeah.
you put them on streaming, and it's all about numbers and about followers. But what arts has always been about is actually kind of creating a world where a
Yes.
fan gets so lost and gets so not lost in a negative sense, but a fan
Immersed,
goes
right?
into it, and you're
Yeah.
like you're in this world. And if
100%.
we think back of in the days like where really arts had, or let's say music, because I will complete it later and compare it to
Sure.
another industry, but in music we had, as a fan, or like yeah, as a fan, you would buy the CD. You would have the CD on and on for hours and hours on repeat. You'd have the booklet. You would check out the lyrics. You would see the pictures. You would go and get the merch. You would be see the music videos. You would be so in the world of that artist. And
100%.
now, as an artist, we also kind of got really convenient, and we said, okay, or we say, okay, we release the music, we do the content, and that's it.
Yeah.
But creating this whole world around your song, around your music, where really you go into it and you have that feeling of, oh my God, I'm in this world, I'm so into it. That's also what artists should think about more. And I think also with
Definitely.
Songcard, you kind of offered the opportunity for artists to really create a world that kind of got lost in music.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the reasons I give the artist the option to like offer. The way that I say this is like you can offer other content at the back of the song card, right?
Yeah.
So that's where like when someone collects a song card, they log into their account and they can unlock new things,
Yeah.
unreleased materials and that sort of thing. Because I want people to be able to log in and then they're only in that artist world. They're not in a feed
Yeah.
with just lots of
Yeah.
people trying to get their attention and
Right.
advertisers. They're just inside one world. Um, and like, I mean, one artist actually, shout out to Phil of Love Process. He released a song card that includes a game. There's a game inside of it. Like
Oh
you
my
log in, yeah,
God.
yeah. There's like because he it's quite funny.
So
I mean,
good.
I'm not like this isn't like a hey you can release a game on song cards. He happened to be making a game out of a song, and he came along to song cards, and he literally I was like, yeah, let's put this in. Boom, like like it loads up and it's a game. It's an experience, right? It's that's his version of like creating a world for the collectors who hold that card. If that makes
Nice.
sense. Yeah, yeah. But
It's
that's an example, you know. This it's not. I'm not going out there and say this is a new gaming platform or anything
no,
like that.
I like the idea because you really see with your example this artist, he really had thoughts behind like his
Sure.
music. There's like more than just that piece that he just releases.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's also what that's an effort that artists should put into more again. Just recently, I watched Scrubs, like the whole
Oh
every
my God, that's a
episode. I have
classic.
to, yeah, it's a classic, right? I watched it. Like, for those who can't remember, it's like the comedy series from the States with
Yeah.
medical students and JD and Dr. Cox and
Yeah.
everyone. And I
It's
was like,
basically Friends in a hospital, isn't it?
yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
well, if you compare like the comparison to kind of the film industry, once you watch a movie or you watch a series, you get so lost in a world, and
100%.
they think of every character, and every character has like kind of their own attitude, and everyone from everything you learn something. And when I watched all the episodes, of course it took me months, but I watched it and I
Yeah.
was so in this world. And not just yesterday, I saw one of their interviews 20 years back. So last year they did like a big reunion interview,
Wow.
and then you see all these actors, and you're like, that was really like that was really a world in or a universe they
Yeah,
created, a
definitely.
completely different universe. And there was when I really thought, oh my God, we as artists or musicians, we sometimes just don't we just forget the whole background story, like
Yeah,
what's the
sure.
kind of story behind you as an artist, behind your song. That's
Yeah.
sometimes what we miss, because for fans, when they just hear a song, they cannot like they don't know what who you are, what is
Sure.
your intention. And I think that's all what we should put into more effort.
Yeah, and like the thing, like one of the things that I kind of miss is the music product, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, because like uh, this like this is just non-existent on streaming platforms, right? By the way, love streaming platforms as a consumer.
Yes.
Very happy with my services and that sort of thing. But you know, it doesn't that doesn't have to be the only thing, right? So, um, the what I've been thinking about recently is shrink wrap. You know, like when you buy a vinyl, you have cellophane shrink wrap, right? Or you like unbox a CD or something like that. There's
Mm-hmm.
some experience, like as you're unboxing it, you're
Mm-hmm.
entering the world,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
As you unbox it, you know. And for me, I'm like, oh, how can I digitally represent that experience? You know, like how can I make music? You know, how can we make it a product again in that way? Because you know, it definitely deserves to be. But also, you know, I have this kind of tagline in my head that uh I'm not officially going with, but it's like the idea that a song, right? Because a song can save someone's life, right? It can be obviously far in excess of value than 30% of a cent, right? Which is what streaming platforms roughly pay out per stream.
Mm-hmm.
A song can save someone's life. So a song is inherently non-fungible, right? Music is non-fungible. You know, that's kind of the thing that I'm kind of going with. That's not an official marketing blurb that I'm using, but you know, something I'm running with a little bit. Um, so the idea that like, you know, like the way that streaming platforms pays for music and that sort of thing, it's all just blanket maths. It's like, oh, all songs, this is all just one commodity, so we're gonna pay for it in this blanket way. But on a fan artist level, a song can mean the world to someone, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, I suppose that's one of the things that I'm thinking about a lot and I'm trying to do with song cards because I just think that there's just missing value there. Like there's just a gap, you know, there's something that we haven't quite achieved there. So
Yeah, absolutely. And especially what you just said, with a song can change your life or
yeah.
even rescue your life. Just yesterday, when I watched like the 20 years reunion Scrubs interview, there were so many people who actually stood up from the audience and said,
Wow.
because of you guys, I started to study medicine. I mean, that's something
Wow.
where
Oh
you,
my
okay,
God.
everyone knew that it was just acting, but
Yeah,
because it was
yeah.
so serious and it was like so good, and the world you were kind of kept in, you were like, I want this too. And it's the same happens with music all the time, and I think that's also what sometimes people forget, and what you especially, that's your, for me, that's your expertise, where you always say, don't create music for any like algorithm or whatever. A song can really change the world, and with Songcard I really feel like you closed that gap for what the value
Sure,
of music.
sure.
And Chris, as our podcast is basically for artists, but also for music lovers. So, and
Yeah,
that's also what I love about Songcard. It's what connects music lovers with artists.
yeah.
If you can maybe tell, on one hand, like what's the process that artists have to do to get a song card or create a song card, and what's the process that a music lover have to do to collect the song card? How
Great.
does it
So
look
I'll
like?
start with fans.
Yes.
So all they need to do is go to the Songcards site, which is at the moment beta.songcards.io.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go to the Discover page by clicking on the logo, I think in the middle of the menu bar there. And then you could just discover endless song cards. There's an infinite feed there on now, so you can actually just doom scroll song cards until you discover something you like. Um, and But if you're interested in going a bit deeper, you could join the beta. Just go to the homepage. You could join the beta from there. We have a little Discord server, which is where most of them are artists, but there's a few collectors in there in the Discord server, and that's where I keep people up to, because we're in beta. I keep people up to date. I get people to test things, and that sort of thing, because you know, I'm building this as I'm launching it at the same time. So I've got a cool little like group of people in there who give me feedback on features that I'm testing and all of that sort of stuff. So, if it's the sort of platform you feel like you can get behind, whether you're an artist or you're a collector and you like to be a part of something that's very much building, in the process, then come in and get involved and help me build this product.
Nice, I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, just beta.songcards.io is the place to go.
Nice. And now, talking a bit more about the creation process for artists, because I already did it. And I would like the audience to know kind of what options you have, because we were, for
Sure.
example, also talking about maybe you create a song card where you even put in the lyrics or you put in a demo version. So
Yeah.
maybe you give a little some insights for artists what kind of options they actually have to create a song card.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. You can so there's the Songcards create tool, so create.songcards.io. You'll see that in the Discord server as well. Pretty simple form. Step one, you upload a song, you input the title of the song. Step two, you create a song card out of it, which um includes uploading some artwork, setting the price of the song card. We have three tiers of price at the moment because I'm experimenting with pricing tiers. I think they're at $2, $5, and $10 at the moment. But if you want to offer a way higher value song card, I'm totally open to it. You can do what you want. Um, and then you can define what's included inside of the song card, which obviously includes the song. So there's a rule of song card, right? So there's each song card must contain at least one song and one piece of artwork. That's the kind of minimum requirement to become a song card product. You can include what's included in the song card. You can upload like a Google Drive link and that sort of thing, and that will include that content in the song card for people who collect it. And then oh yeah, and then there's a piece in there that is where you kind of sell the song card, which is where you tell the story of the song card, what's included, why does this song exist, and that sort of thing, which is what appears on the song card page there. And then you click submit, and then it arrives in my inbox, and then I email you back and say, hey, this is what it looks like. Are you happy for me to put it on the feed? And then you're in the Discord, and then we can have a chat, talk about how you can promote it and that sort of thing. Always more than happy, of course, to talk to Songcards artists. Always talking to Songcards artists and helping them, trying to help them get the most out of the platform. But it's for me, it's also product feedback as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the process. But if you're not sure, if you have some questions, contact me, jump in the Discord, and then we can take it from there.
I love that, especially now we also hear a little bit about the prices. So that
Yeah.
to make it clear again, $2 to $10 is something, especially if you start with $2, that's talking about commitment of fans, like getting
Yes.
someone to
Yeah.
buy a vinyl for 30, 40 euros is a big commitment, but $2 or
Yeah.
euros is maybe a smaller commitment. So I think it's perfect for independent artists or artists who just are about to start or have already started. So that's really a perfect kind of middle way.
Exactly.
And
Yeah. That's
I
the
would
idea.
also ask you, I would like to ask you because you were talking about promotion, and
Yeah.
I just, for those who don't know you, let me quickly tell you that Chris is an expert definitely in promoting music and mentoring artists. Not because he's doing the standard, because he found he finds your unique way, I will say. Just today, I read a LinkedIn post from you that says you get asked very, very often, yeah, like artists ask you very often, how should I promote my music? And your answer is, well, let's first see what's your story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like, hey, how do I promote this? And I'm like, hey, what's the story of this? And then the answer to that question is actually the answer to your question, which is how to promote it. It is the story of it. Um, it's one of those things that's a weird kind of like, you know, because some people obviously they just upload stuff and post and hope, that's what some people say. They just like, and you're a really good storyteller, so people should basically just follow you. But um, like it's you know, it's just one of those things. It's like, look, you need to give people context. Like why does this? Because this song might exist for a really good reason that connects to people in a way that is really meaningful, right? Like there's a story behind every song. There's maybe some experiences that you went through to even start writing this song and producing the song in the first place. That stuff is relevant. That stuff is the marketing. Like, I mean, I get a lot of people come to me and they say, "Oh, Chris, can you help me with this stuff? Can you help me?" And I think it's going to be some like off the shelf kind of solution. I'm like, cool. More than happy to help. But what I need you to do first is I need you to write down your story, send it to me in an email, and then we'll take it from there. And then in the process of doing that, and some people go deep, they'll do like pages and pages and pages of stuff. And then I just basically go, there you go. That's your marketing. You've done it. Like, and there's some nuance to that and that sort of thing. We need to be a bit dissecting of it. Like, how does a fan discover you? And then what process, what journey have you designed that they go on from step by step by step? They might just be aware of you first on their feed, but then the next level is that they start following you and then they join your mailing list and then they start buying your t-shirts and that sort of thing. There's a journey to be designed there. It's not enough to just be like, oh, they'll see me on social media and then magically that will make everything work. It's like you have to, it's kind of just business principles, right? Like marketing doesn't isn't something that works by itself either, right? You have to have like business fundamentals behind the marketing to get any value out of it. And because if all you do is, again, you can be an amazing storyteller but only tell stories on Instagram with no call to action, and you're not really creating anything unless you get, you know, you strike a pot of luck and you go viral and then you get millions of followers, which isn't going to happen for most people, nor should it. That shouldn't be the only model. But if there's a call to action and then there's a measurable conversion behind it and that sort of thing, that's when it really starts to make sense and starts to feed the sustainable way for you to keep making music, which is, there's an economic piece there. Um but a lot of it is kind of just marketing 101, really. It's not rocket science. It's like you're a brand, you have a story, there's a reason you make music, you know. That's what people want to know about. and you'll capture a wider amount of people based on your story, and then the subset of them who adore you will buy your stuff. But you have to the door in which that they can step through in order to further support you and remunerate you for your work. You have to make that door visible and apparent to them, right? So it's not just marketing, nor is it just anything else. You have to, that's why they call it the funnel in marketing, right? Like you have to like create this journey for people to further discover you and further go deeper and deeper into your world. Because you know how like it happens all of the time. You'll be on someone's mailing list and you'll find yourself buying their product, and then you stop and go, how did I even discover these people? That's how well they did it, right? It was some Instagram post, and then there was a call to action, there was a link, and then there was a sign up, and then 8 months later you buy their t-shirt or you buy their product, right? That's how it works. But it doesn't happen by just, again, you could be an amazing storyteller and just do Instagram or just do a social media platform or just do social media. But if there's not a shop behind it, you're not going to capture the value out of that effort. And then you're going to think that it doesn't work. When it does work, you just have some missing links, almost literally missing links. Yeah.
That's amazing. I really loved it. I think most people, even like before we start with all the infrastructure and technology that's out there, I think the missing piece for most artists and people in marketing is actually the storytelling part.
100%.
Because it does not only work to just say my single is out or whatever. And I have this book here that's always my favorite marketing book from Seth Godin. For those who don't
Yeah.
know him, he's like the marketing guru. And the book is called, I think that's marketing in English. And that's exactly the point that you just mentioned. That's his point, storytelling. What is your story? It's not about thinking of a story that could relate to people. It's about who are you? What's your story? And for those artists who, there's so many artists out there who still kind of say, I don't want to do all the social media stuff or whatever. But storytelling has always been out there, no matter which infrastructures changes. If there's like
100%.
the internet can go away tomorrow,
Yeah.
probably not, but the platforms can shut down, everything can happen. But the storytelling has always been there in marketing, and this is what relate where people start to relate to you. And I think that's
Yeah.
also the missing link for many artists. What's your story?
Well, also, if you want a good case study of storytelling in such a way that convinces people of something, look at any religion ever.
Yes,
Like it's
yes.
just storytelling at the end of the day.
Fairy
Um,
tales, the same.
yeah. So, but you have a story, and because I had someone the other day, they were like, "How can I be unique?" I'm like, "You are unique. Like it's not your product." I would argue that your product is unique, right? But it's not the one thing that has to be unique. You are already unique. Your story is already you're automatically unique,
Yes.
right? It's just,
Yeah.
but if you don't tell your own story, people can't see the uniqueness of you, right? The uniqueness, is that a word? The what is unique about you, you
Yeah.
are unique.
You are unique, definitely. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And also I think that's what you created with Songcard, because the uniqueness there can really shine.
Right.
You have like on an external, everything you said about marketing and funneling is always remember when you're on Instagram or wherever, there's a platform where in 10 seconds you can see 1,000 people all in once. So you will never be alone there. You will always kind of be a piece of a big thing. But you have to build a universe somewhere where
So,
it's just you. And
so
that's, I think, what you've really created with Songcard.
glad to hear it, especially coming from you.
Yes, so definitely worth checking out. And Chris, now that so Songcard is your second business. But
Right.
as I said, you're also a mentor, and you also helped so many artists to get out there. And especially with, I think the let's say biggest challenge is always how to get started. Of
Right.
course, we know now Songcard is part of the infrastructure that you can use. But let's say I'm an artist
Yeah.
and I'm just about to release a song. How would you build up that whole funnel, wow, so my song is ready. What should I do?
Okay. Well, go to unlockyoursound.com. We have loads of resources for that sort of thing, exactly for that
Nice.
kind of problem. Um, Second of all, um, so if it's like your first release and you're kind of like testing the waters and stuff, I would say like just don't sweat it that much and just make sure that the people in your network know about it and are excited about it. Like I almost feel like that, you know, first of all, it's likely you have a social media page and someone is following you, right? That initial network is actually really, really important. I know a lot of people think like, oh, but that's just friends and family. But I'm like, but they're friends and family. They're actually extremely important people to you who know your story and know what you've gone through to get this point. You know, like they should be your biggest, you know, at least at first, your biggest patrons, really. Like it's their job to support you, you know, as well. Um, so A, don't sweat it that much because B, it's just your first release, and C, like the so I feel like there's this sentiment in the music industry that like releases have a shelf life and they just don't. Releases do not have a shelf life, right? Especially in the on-demand streaming era. When you upload it, it's uploaded forever, and that's good. It means it has forever for everyone to discover it, right? There's no like it doesn't run out of steam after 3 weeks. So don't sweat it, right? As long as you keep growing, keep building your brand and storytelling, people can just discover and discover and discover. As long as there's, you know, a clear journey that they can go under in order to discover your music. But if it's your first release and you're, you know, you're testing the waters and this is new, it's cool. Like just don't sweat it. It doesn't have to blow up. It doesn't have to blow up instantly anyway, right? And it's a process that we all go through and, you know, it's it's just, you know, I push back on this kind of like industry kind of like dogmatic thing where your release only has 4 weeks to blow up. That's obviously insane. And it's you know, and I there's plenty of data to support my argument as well. Like most music streamed on streaming platforms is what they call catalog music, like old music, music that wasn't released recently. The vast majority of what people are listening to is old, and people like there's loads of examples as well where like a song will get put on a film, but the song was released like ages ago, or it gets picked up by a label and it was first released ages ago. There's no such thing as a shelf life on good music. So don't sweat it that much. I just feel like people just because they follow their who they look up to, and that's great. And it looks like a clean process because social media is very good at only giving you the highlights, right? But behind the scenes, they're probably trying to figure it out as well. So I just don't sweat it that much. Like, think of your first release almost like if it helps you, you don't have to think like this, but think of it as like, you know, you're launching in beta or something like that. You know, you're getting feedback, you're discovering the process.
I love that. Especially, you always said that that was kind of the thing I learned from you the most. We overthink like how to release, when to release, and you were always like, forget about the release,
Yeah.
put it out because once it's out, then it's out and it can blow up every time if you do like your
Yeah.
storytelling right, if you keep engaging with fans, actually if you keep gaining real fans, once it's
100%.
out, it's out. And we saw that phenomenon, I think it was last year when Kate Bush's song Over the Hill
Right.
got
Yeah,
back
yeah.
into the
Exactly.
charts, back
Exactly.
into the charts after 30 years.
Exactly.
That song from the 80s because of a series on Netflix.
Yeah.
So once it's out, and also what I've learned from you always, and I think that's a really important statement for artists. You always said to me, Sherry, don't focus on the output or the outcome because that's what you cannot control. You always said, focus on the input,
Yeah,
what
the
you
work,
do.
right? Yeah,
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 your craft, your input. What if you go to bed and you can say, okay, I put something out regularly, I was disciplined or
yeah,
continuous, I continued to put out something regularly, and I
yeah.
did all the things that I could do with my energy in my kind of framework that was possible. Then I did my checklist and the input, and what comes out is always a measurement that
Yeah.
is really difficult to control. So it's also something that was really helpful for me always.
Yeah, I almost think that like the concept of the release is like a myth, right? Like that obviously there's a release date and it's good. Like you should be excited about it and you should project your excitement and there's a lot of things you can do around the release and that sort of thing. But at the same time, if the release is passed and don't feel like it's cool, it's not a lost opportunity or anything like that. Because what you're actually releasing is a body of work that you're releasing over time. That's what
Yes,
you're not releasing one product at a time. You're actually just it's additive. Every release is an addition to a body of work that you're growing over time. That's the way to think about it.
absolutely. And I think the most work starts actually when it's released, because then you have
Yeah,
to build your
definitely.
career over years,
Definitely.
hopefully. So it's not just done by releasing one song, it's really about that long-term perspective.
Yeah.
I love
Blow
that.
like blow up slowly or something like that. I don't know. I'm working on it. I'm like, yeah, you should blow up slowly over 30, 40, 50, 60 years. This is the way.
Absolutely. Nice. Chris, is there anything you would like to add for
Um,
artists or for song cards?
I think the only thing about song cards I haven't mentioned is our business model, which I obviously want to be
Oh,
completely
yes.
transparent about. So very simple, just like Bandcamp. We keep 10% of the sale, and it's as simple as that.
Nice.
There's
Very
there's no
transparent.
like for an artist you don't have to sign up. There's no like artist membership or anything like that. The deal is you upload your music, and when you sell a song card you take 90% of what we get back from our payment provider, which is Stripe, right? And as simple as that. Just wanted to, because people might think, oh, this is like a paid service or whatever. No, just like Bandcamp, something like that. You upload and you sell music.
Nice. That's very transparent. I love that.
Cool.
Chris, where can people find you?
Yes, they can find me. I spend a lot of time in the Songcards Discord server these days. But if you go to unlockyoursound.com, you can sign up to the mailing list there. If you just go to unlock resources, you sign up and you'll get an email with a bunch of PDFs and resources and that sort of thing to help you create and release your music. And by signing up to that, you'll get emails from me on a weekly-ish basis. So, you won't forget about me anytime soon. Um, I'm on LinkedIn. Songcards is on Instagram at Songcardgram. So I'm on there as well. And that's mostly just posting out new song cards at the moment, I think. But yeah, I'm pretty the closest I think is the Songcards Discord server. So go to the Songcards site and join the beta, and you'll be in the Discord server if that's your bag.
Very good. And before I come to my final question, I first would like the audience to know a little bit more about you and the background with the Ziegelei Academy,
Yes.
because Ziegelei Academy wouldn't be there without you, for those who don't know. And I think that's a story that nobody actually knows, only few people. Ziegelei Academy, the idea came actually from Chris, because Chris and I, we saw this, like the
Right.
building, I know it from my childhood. Our audience already knows the story,
Right.
but it was you and me who went into the building, who met the guy who owns the building, and it was actually you who said, "Sherry, we have to do something. This building is magical. So
Yeah.
that was kind of when we said, all right, when I said I have this idea with a music university, and you were the one who said, let's do it. And that's something that's so magical also about you. And that's why I hope every artist check out Chris and his platform, because Chris has this magic to really make things happen and to really get your mindset into just do it.
Oh,
And
that's
I really
nice.
love that, and I will always be thankful for that. So Ziegelei Academy wouldn't be there without you. I will never forget that. So thank you for that.
Shout out to Franz as well. Franz? Yeah.
Franz,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Shout out.
But
Shout out to him. He was very good to us at the beginning.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
We have to do an interview just about the story, like how we got started. I think that's
Yeah,
worth another podcast. Absolutely.
definitely.
But our final question. Just last week, I discovered our final, like our last question for every podcast. And our question is, Chris, what would you say is the value of music?
Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's something that you behold, right? It's like inherently subjective. Like I said before, like, a song can like make a really significant impact on someone's life. So it's just one of those things you know it when you listen to a song, you like if you ever like listen to a song, or like you go and see a band or something like that, and you're like, oh, I'm so happy that I follow this band, or this song is in my life. I can't imagine it without it, that sort of thing. So I think it's
Love,
that, in lieu of a better way of encapsulating it, but I think it is that. Yeah.
love it. Thank you very much, Chris, for
Thank
being
you.
on our show.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Ziegelei Academy podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, to share the podcast, spread the word. It would really help us to get started. Also follow us on all social media platforms. You can find us at ziegelei.academy in German version, but I will also link it in the show notes, so make sure you check that out and leave a comment if you like it. Thanks for listening. See you next time.